but then I walk in and you're like, oh, whoa, can she do that? And you're like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, it's interesting to watch humanity try to be non-judgmental, but know that their bias and judgment hit it hard, and that's why you don't have that job.
Addie had to talk me off the ledge here a couple of weeks ago. I went to the doctor, and the doctor asked me, "Who do I live with?" And I got to tell you, Kat, I am a guy that does not get triggered when it comes to my disability. People say things to me, and I just let it roll off. I don't care. I mean, I've had far more blatant, far more, far worse things said to me. But that one got in my kitchen, I tell you.
Yeah, that one took a while of, hey, it's okay. They probably didn't mean it that way. It's
stirring up again, you can tell.
Yeah, right. I'm like, breathe.
Yeah, it's okay.
And Doug, I realized that you were the interviewer in this case, but mentally, how did you move past it eventually?
I don't know if I have totally.
I was going to say, has he? I'm not sure.
Yeah. And it's such a little sentence, but there's so many things that are implied in that sentence. At some point, I have to admire for her to craft a sentence that has so much in it that she's not aware of, Yeah. She assumed that I didn't live alone, which I do.
Couldn't live alone. You read it as I couldn't live alone. Yeah.
No,
also, right?
no. See, you're getting started here.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm sure she does not pose that question in that way to somebody who she perceives as able-bodied.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying is she's implying that you couldn't do it.
Right. Oh, you're saying she, yeah.
Yeah, she was implying that in the question, and you were like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah,
I know. I was like, you're already wound up because you didn't.
Right. Bring Doug back down. Okay.
Ben.
No. You know how this goes. This is such a common story.
Yeah.
Doors shut in faces, judgments being made all the time based on a perceived notion, especially for people who cannot hide their disability. Hard stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and how does that feel for you as a sibling, Kat? I mean, obviously it kind of pushed you to this, right? So how does that feel for you to watch your sibling be judged in a way that I don't even know how to phrase it per se, but it pushed you to this point where you're like, let's do this.
Angry, really, really angry. And sometimes I need to take a step back and try to put myself in the shoes of the other person of the conversation and try to explain, hey, this is the situation. And this is why my brother acts in a certain way. And I'm sorry, the term really is deal with it.
Yeah.
But I first go to anger. I then have to reflect and maybe come back to a situation to go, let's have a chat about this. Or when I see that something is about to fall apart, to take, let's say, a person at a restaurant aside, one of the service, and say, by the way, he's special needs. So if there's anything, we'll walk through it together. We'll work through it together.
Yeah.
I need to remember the humanity of circumstances. And sometimes it's hard because I'm human and I'm trying to protect my sibling.
Yeah.
My brother essentially is operationally between 9 and 12 years old.
Yeah.
And he always will be. And that doesn't mean that he doesn't get hurt. That doesn't mean that he doesn't get deeply traumatized and offended by certain things that are said or done. And I've always been the mama bear, mama hen, whatever mama you want to insert into the story. But I, as time has gone on, I've realized I need to put myself in the shoes of the person on the other side of this to be able to understand where they're coming from. And I can move this forward in a positive fashion versus me just reacting and being angry, because that's where I would almost always go in the past.
Sure.
Right, which is like a big thing because my mom always says that like anger is sadness wrapped with spikes. And so it's really that you're sad and frustrated that somebody's misjudging the situation, right? Or like that they don't even get it. And so it's just easier to just be like, oh, I'm going to punch you in the face rather than like, oh, this is, this sucks. So, I mean, that's mature on your part to be like, woosah, I'm not helping the situation if I deck her. Let me try to figure out how to work.
I might feel a little better, but
right.
But the two of you, it's taken a while to get to this point. It's taken a lot of reflection.
Right. But I mean, bravo to you to work on that, right? Because some people would just be like, well, it's just easier to be a firecracker tell everybody to kiss mine. And,
But
your brother still feels it no matter how you react, right? Like he is still stuck in that wedge no matter how we take it on.
Absolutely. And he most likely will not fight for himself.
Yeah.
And so when Doug said that he was offended, I was thinking, I hope that he fought for himself even a little bit, because to the doctor, there is the what needs to be said, and there's how you say it.
Yeah.
And the how
delivery.
The world.
And that is the, definitely when I thought about it, I knew she just needed to be educated, about how that question comes across. I don't think she meant anything, by it. She, thought that was a perfectly fine question. She just has no idea. So, but I haven't had that opportunity yet, but I definitely will.
You'd be like, hey, can we talk about it?
Yeah.
Do you need me on speed dial? So when it all falls apart, you could be like, she'll tell you what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Now, you put me on speed dial and I will have
Right, we'll take Kat.
I've been driving long enough that I predate placards, So when, it's like you were saying, when the placards first came out, I thought I should be the police and police everybody else that was either parking in them with no placard, or if they didn't appear to me that they really needed one, there were times when I would, say something. And after a while, I just realized that, it's not my place. This is the way I put it in perspective for me, is that there are people speeding down the freeway. I don't go around and try to stop them, so it's just a degree of somebody not adhering to the law,
Right.
whether that's, the way to look at it, but it helped me deal with it, that I can't go around doing that. And people don't listen anyway.
Yeah.
People don't listen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, back to the book.
Oh,
I know,
sorry.
let's get back to the book. But this
So
is
good, though.
I love this conversation though too.
These are common pain points. But yes, the book.
Yeah.
We were able to gather 12 entrepreneurs, all people with disabilities, representing 5 countries.
Wow.
All over the world. Yeah, right?
So was there like even a bigger pool of people and you had to narrow it down to this many, or?
This is so funny. My original brainstorm for this was to have 33 entrepreneurs. And at one point I realized maybe I should stop at a certain point and call it a date and just say, all the authors we have at this point will be cut off. We can always have other volumes.
Right. Smart.
That's what I also realized, that if I got as many as 33 entrepreneurs, that might become a little bit unwieldy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever met an entrepreneur in their brain? Let's just say you might have lots of cats in a bag.
And I realized that's just like people management. You have to put a bag. But I also needed to be cognizant, which I wasn't in the beginning, that, girl, you've never done this before. What are you thinking?
Yeah, right.
Well, that's the thing. If you think of things like that, nothing would ever get done. No, so you just got to jump in there.
Exactly. Right. What are you thinking? And this is just a little fun fact. Out of all the 12 authors, I have only met one of the 12 in person.
Oh my goodness. Okay, cool. Well, technology, right? Like, look at what technology can do. We're all hanging out with each other. You can meet those people. How did you, out of that 12, how did you say, okay, you guys are the 12?
That's a good point. Essentially, I reached out to people and people referred others. That's how we got the crew that we got. I didn't necessarily look at people's coverage of their business. I didn't look at people's disability. I let people in just knowing after speaking with them. It was all about connection and knowing if they would fit within the dynamic of the group.
No, that's perfect, right? Like you have to have the mojo where it's, you can poison the pot with one drop. So
with one drop, that could have gone all dry. And at the end of the day, I don't think I've ever said this at any other interview. There's a part of me that's in awe that it got done.
Right? You're like, come on, you squirrels. We've got to get over here. And you're a squirrel too, because you had the idea. Yeah.
Just getting it all together and learning. Miss Addie, you understand this much more. All the authors out there, all the publishers out there, you know what this is about. But for the regular person, it's like, oh, I can write a book too.
Yeah.
I can do that.
That's easy. Yeah. No,